For Reza and I, Darian brought joy to our lives from the get-go. He was fiercely independent, incredibly hardworking, and always set high bars for himself. At 3.5 years old, his mommy and me time was to go to the hardware store where he would give advice to grown shoppers on which brand of weed eaters and edgers they should be buying, and why. You should buy the Husqvarna 128 weed eater. It has a smart start. Ian won an award in the second grade for the most honest student in his school. Growing up, this level of honesty was sometimes hard for adults in his outer circle to mitigate, but those who were close to him admired him for it. The same year, at 8 years old, Ian wrote to the city of College Station recommending that traffic signals should have timers on them so cars would know how much time they had before the need to stop. The city declined, citing it would likely lead to drivers being less safe and speeding more, but the following year, the city introduced timers on crosswalks. When Ian was 9 years old, he collected 300 signatures in our neighborhood on a petition to ride his go-kart on city streets. The Kirkland City Council accepted his petition but politely declined his clever plan to get more road space for his driving. With talents and interests ranging from music, chess, cars, and reading while growing up, he aspired to be a mechanic and an artist. Ian was a humble and modest person who would give the shirt off his back to those in need. As a young child, he often gave away his allowance and food to homeless people he encountered in our travels. Anytime he bought a meal and saw a hungry homeless person, he ran out and shared his meal. Growing up, K-Top was a very special place for Ian. At 15, he started volunteering at the cafe here. This was a time of great isolation in Ian's life, and K-Top provided a safe and nurturing environment to Ian to thrive. The counselors here gave him the confidence to put a resume together and go out and get his first job at 16. Again, being the fiercely independent young man that he was, by 18 he worked full-time and at times he held 2 jobs to put himself through college. Ian attended Running Start at Bellevue College while attending high school. Inspired by a history teacher, he attended UW to become a history teacher. However, being the pragmatic person that he was, he didn't want to graduate with enormous debt, so he shifted his life plans. Ultimately, the love of cars and childhood aspirations took him to the Auto Body program at Lake Washington Institute of Technology. His hard work at the institute was rewarded by 2 scholarships that further encouraged his path.
His mom was here tonight, told me it's up to 70 hours a week while maintaining a Forough GPA. He is interested in specializing in painting as he acquires a proficiency in the auto body field with an ultimate goal of becoming a painter in a manufacturing certified body shop. So any of you who are looking to take on a young guy in our business and raise a professional, Ian, come on up.
Definitely not gonna lie, that 4.0 is not up to date. But all I can really say is, I never really thought I'd make it this far, because in taking Jim's class, well, it occurred to me it's a lot like chess in that most of what you do in auto body is something that's relatively easy to understand the concepts and whatnot. It's just, it takes a lifetime to master, but you take the time and you put in the effort, you sit down, try to learn the art of the trade. You can do it. Like, it's anything, just, I can do anything. And anything that you want to do is possible. It's easier to tell yourself that it's not possible for you to do and that you're incapable than it is to accept that you are capable of doing something and anything, really, in life. So that's all I really want to say. Thank you, Jim. Thank you for being there for me and my classmates. Thank you for just helping me get to what I'm trying to accomplish in life, painting and auto body. I hope to actually open up my own shop someday. It'd be cool. But yeah, I'm going to hand it off to Melissa, my classmate.
I understand that's your mother right there filming. All right, come on up here, Mom. All right, ladies and gentlemen, give them a round of applause.
Ian briefly as a musical mentor as much as I could. Because you saw him playing a little bit up there in the beginning. That was a very small snippet of what he could do on the guitar. We noticed a huge interest in Ian in music, constantly talking about it, constantly listening to it, constantly just being all about the music that he was listening to. So talked to Arzu about maybe trying to help a little bit with my guitar skills. I'm mainly a piano player. So when I sat down with Ian, it became quickly apparent that I was not needed at all. Teacher, I can teach basic things, but he picked up things incredibly fast. And I talked to Arzu and I said, I don't know what I could do for Ian anymore on the guitar because he's just learning it so fast. So kind of changed my role to become more of a mentor and a coach and try to work on some of the songs that he was doing. And he loved bands like Nirvana or Alice in Chains, Soundgarden. He had really great musical taste. And I loved meeting with him because he was one of the funniest people I ever met. His sense of humor was very much like mine, and not everyone gets it all the time, which is great. He always made me laugh, and he always wanted to make you laugh. That's what I felt like when I was with him, is that he just wanted to have a good time and hang out and enjoy being each other's company.
I'm Lori Cherkino, and Ian was in my class for 3 years at Winnetka High School. And I had him in class freshman through junior year. And in those years, he taught me so much in my personal life as well as my professional practice. Ian was a justice seeker, and he was a good friend to all. He was super sensitive and had a heart of gold. And if another student was getting reprimanded by me, Ian would often jump in and say, "But Mrs. Cherkino, you didn't give me the same consequence, and I don't think that's fair." And I was like, "Ian, can we talk about this in a minute?" And then I had to explain to him on the side, "Ian, you've done all your work. You worked really hard, and so sometimes you don't get the same consequences because you're doing your work." And then I think he got it, but he was always a justice seeker in the classroom. And he was always willing to drive a friend in his Jeep. And I had him sixth period, and I would watch them leave my portable. And as a mother of 3 children, and at the time 3 teenagers, I just would go, "Oh, please keep them safe," because they were barreling out. And he was so excited always to drive someone in that Jeep. And he was a truth teller. And my favorite story about him is in our first meeting. There were quite a few people present in the meeting. Parents, Ian, 2 district representatives, myself, some support people, and then 5 gen ed teachers. And we were probably 20 minutes into the meeting. I have a very long last name, 11 letters, lots of consonants, and somebody in the district office kept referring to me and saying my name incorrectly. And he goes, "Stop. We just have to stop here." And I kind of was like, "Whoa." And he said to my supervisor, he goes, "How long have you known him?" And I was like, "I don't know, 5 or 6 years. And you don't know how to say her last name correctly?" I'm like, I love this kid. Everything I would tell him, he would bring up a year later. "You remember last year in June, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, no, I don't remember that." And in fact, I had left the district after his junior year, and I came back for his graduation. And when I saw him, he said, "Oh, Mrs. Cherkino, I have been trying to get Mr. Mansas to call you and tell you that you never gave me that referral from freshman year. I never served that." And I was like, "Ian, I don't even remember that." He goes, "I know." And I said, "Well, consider it your graduation gift." And then he paused and he looked at me and he said, "Hey, you're no longer a district employee. I'm no longer a student. We can actually hug, can't we?" And I said, "We can hug." And so we hugged and we were both filled with pride and hope.
Ian had this thing where he always had to be the smartest person in the room. He wouldn't want to point that out, but he just kind of was. And see, the problem there is, I have to be the smartest person in the room. And I just say, "You want to just be friends?" And I was like, "Sure." And yeah, then he drove me around that Jeep a couple times. I got the just life scared out of me on multiple occasions. So I just started driving myself. Got my own license just so I didn't have to drive with him. And one night, a couple years after I graduated, because I was a year before him, he comes to my door at 8 o'clock at night, and with a, what was that called? A bin of laundry. And it says, "Hey, you mind if I do some laundry at your house?" It's just like, it's 8 o'clock at night, sure, why not? Just like, cool. Pulls out a box with a $10 radiator in it, and says, "Can I also change my radiator in your garage, because I don't have one?" I'm just like, okay. So I live at home, and so and it's 8 o'clock at night, and the washer's running, and then there's all this wrench sounds of wrenches going on in the garage. My mom walks downstairs and is like, "What the heck is happening?" I was like, "Oh, Ian's here." She was like, "Is he trying to burn down the house?" "No." "Okay." Walks back upstairs, goes to bed. And then he finally gets, after, it's midnight when he finally gets that radiator installed, or a bit after it. And he's just like, "All right, see you tomorrow." Drives off. And I get a text 30 minutes later as I'm going to bed, just like, "Oh, my car caught fire." And he forgot his laundry too. I had to inform him of that. He's like, "Cool." One of my aunts moved some stuff out of her mother's house, well, her grandmother's house, and she just passed, and they needed some help moving some stuff, and so I'm just like, "Hey, Ian, can you help?" No hesitation, just said yes. Didn't even tell him what. I just drove him there, and then we started moving things, and I think that just basically describes him all in 3 stories. Fabulous.
I met Ian when he was a tween, so like 5th and 6th grade. And the thing that struck me about him was how much light came from him, and how much, like other people have talked about, his desire to connect with people through humor and to make people's lives brighter. And the thing that's hard is that there's so many people like that in the world, and that the world isn't ready for them. And it's really hard that there's not a place where people who are different and who have more talents stuffed inside their bodies than most other people walking around aren't seen for who they are and aren't appreciated. And the world doesn't reflect back to them how amazing they are and how much we appreciate that they're here and they share the talents with us. And I wish that I had done a better job with him, communicating that to him. And it makes me work really even harder with my own kids. I have 2 kids with autism and 4 kids with neurodiversity, and with the kids that I work with. And I really appreciated being able to get to know them and the light. And I hope that that is still, however it works in the universe, still here with all of us and inspires all of us to think about who he was and what all the other people in the world are, and how we can, in our own way, create a place for them and create a mirror where we educate the people who don't know about that, especially more neurotypical people who have a really clear idea about conformity and that everybody needs to be the same in order to be appreciated. and that that's not true, and that the world becomes a better, stronger, more interesting, more vibrant place the more that we can all educate the people around us about how to create more inclusive environments for people who are different, whose talents explode out of their bodies the way that Ian's did. Throughout these 2 years, Ian really made an awesome impact on my life. I mean, I just, they're seeing photos and all the merit awards here at Kirkland for, through the city of Kirkland. I really think that Ian really embodies Kirkland as a city. And through being himself and through everything, embodies Kirkland as a city. When even as a high school, he really was there for everyone, just depended on where he was, and he's just a very special soul, and just his love for music really just literally amplified his incredible person that he was. And really thankful to have gotten to know him, even though our time was shorter than we anticipated. And he just was so happy to finally have that outlet, that way of connecting to people. Being up here, in K-Tub, I think he was playing the bass, but details. Just seeing him perform, and he's just so happy doing what he loves. It's incredible.
I think how old Ian would have been then. I'm pretty sure it was like age maybe 13, 14, 15, and 16. Those days here in Kirkland. I'd be here on weekday nights and weekends. And so very much part of the family. I can remember him writing his resume up on the kitchen table and studying. And one of the things he liked to do with me was give me advice about my car. And I don't know anything about cars. I was trying to think. I think it was a Kia Optima. And he would be like, well, you should consider this car, and you should consider this car next. And he'd come out and be like, oh yeah, that's right, yeah, about this. And then the other thing that he really liked to do was really push his humor with me. So I'd be like, well, that's probably, if you were like 22 and 21 and out on that comedy circuit, I'm sure that would be really funny. But right now, it's maybe not the best idea. But his humor, and then, so I was there when he got his driver's license, and he would drive me around sometimes. And so there's some hair-raising moments with Cheyenne and myself in the car and him driving. And then I also remember a few times when there was Arzu and him were driving in the front and trying to decide which way to turn and when. And that was always humorous for me in the back. They'd go at it pretty good. For us to turn this way, turn that way, slow down, stop, yield. But that was good. And then one of the favorite jokes, and I'll leave it up to you guys to interpret, but was, Arzu asked me, but anyway, so I was thinking about, starting my own practice and down in Auburn, whatever that was. Without a beat. He's like, oh, you should call it Ready to Achieve, Perform, and Excel. I was like, oh, that'd be pretty good. And he's like, okay. He's like, what would that acronym look like on a business card?